This 22 Polaris Ranger came in with a poorly sounding audio system. After looking over poor grounds, strange amp choices, and a box that looked to be incorrect, it was clear we had to redo the audio system. After talking to the client and listening to what was left of the audio system, we came up with a game plan. To ensure high levels of SPL even outside the side-by-side, we decided to go with three 15-inch audio mobile subwoofers and a 4th order bandpass enclosure. For the speakers, we chose JL's M6 series Marine speakers. For amplifiers, we decided to go with Sound Digital. We used a 2000.4 for the tower speakers, two 1200.4s for the door speakers and the center speakers, and we used a 5000.1 for the subwoofers. We also used the Helix DSP.3S. Before we decided to build anything, we went ahead and scanned the entire side-by-side, including the roof, the bed, all the way down to the cooler. This ensured that we had proper fitment and location before we cut anything. After digitizing the side-by-side, I was able to mock up an enclosure with proper airspace, and then I went and modeled the proper frequency response I wanted to hit. After getting a good solid foundation on how big the box was going to be, I started designing panels to trim it out. One of the big goals with this new sound system was to have the bed still be able to tilt to service the motor, as the previous install did not allow this to happen. All the panels are either held in with machine bolts or magnets, which allows easy removal of all the panels. The new amplifier locations were moved from the front of the back seat to above the sub box and behind the cans, as this was a wasted space with not much there. This also allowed viewing of the amplifiers from down below, as this was something the customer requested, that he'd be able to show off his equipment. After putting the amplifiers in position, I started work on the side enclosure panels. To keep servicing the motor as simple as possible, the tower speakers were wired with a 12-pin Molex connector that included all speaker wiring and RGB wiring. The enclosure inserts were heavily inspired by the suspension on the side-by-side, with the powder-coated blue and chrome trims really giving it a great contrast, illuminated or not illuminated. And the side pieces were done in LED white and LED black acrylic. After those panels were finished, we loaded the enclosure for its final place. The enclosure was held to the bed with three M12 grade 8.8 bolts. Tuning the enclosure and the system was actually quite easy due to the prior system design. When the client came to pick up his vehicle, he was amazed at how much of a difference it was from the sound system he had bought before. With the increased bass, clarity, no distortion, he was amazed and even took it to a local event right after picking it up. The morning after, we received a message from the client expressing how grateful and happy he was with this new sound system. He even won an award at the event for Best of Show. So this Ram Mega Cab is one of our returning clients, but this sound system he had done elsewhere. After listening to the car with the customer and listening to his opinions, it was clear the system did not meet the customer's requirements. The main complaints of this audio system were lack of impact and detail, and the customers stated it did not sound realistic. Previously, he had two Audio Mobile 15s and imported enclosure. To give the customer more impact, we decided to add a third Audio Mobile 15 and go with the sealed enclosure on high power. Knowing the transfer function of this vehicle is around 55 Hz, I designed a sealed enclosure to have an impedance rise right at about 55 Hz to give us a very flat response from about 10 Hz all the way up to about 150 in car. With an enclosure at about 4.5 cubic feet, this gave us a Q value of about 0.8, which is great. Played easily from 10 Hz all the way past 100 Hz in a listening position. This ensured we had no phase issues and we could cross over freely wherever we needed to cross the subwoofer. With the use of a conductor, we were able to use multiple presets and it satisfied every request the client gave us. There was a stereo preset, stereo with rear fill preset, a surround preset which utilized the center channel and rear fill with Helix's real center algorithm, and the fourth tune was always as loud as possible. Having multiple tunes allows us to not have to compromise on either overall loudness and output or fidelity. The enclosure included a lot of detail from the factory styling cues. Silver trim around the door grills was transferred over to the trim rings as well as the acrylic pieces, pulling styling cues from the factory grille pattern. We underlaid carbon fiber below both of those pieces as this tied into the subwoofers. For the center channel, I really wanted the left and right and center to match as well as possible because the client really wanted a realistic sound through any preset. For this Polaris slingshot, I designed a battery bracket that held 60 LTO cells from excess power. I designed all the bus bars in Fusion and even simulated the bend in the sheet metal tab. This allowed the full use of the storage behind the seat to hold 60 LTO cells, 30 on each side. This gave us about 350 amp hours on tab. This ensures that our 4 Sound Digital 8000s and our 4 Sound Digital 5000s, as well as matching ground 04 channels, never ran low on voltage. To ensure reliability and longevity, I designed 3D printed inserts to fit between each LTO cells, holding them securely 1 millimeter apart from each other. The bus bars were then plasma cut on a CNC out of 1/4-inch aluminum. This Bentley Mulsanne came in and had an inoperable radio. The radio powered on, but quickly would always turn off. We were tasked with either finding a solution or offering the customer more insight into what was happening with this vehicle. So with prior experience, knowing this vehicle is ran through MOST, and optical MOST that is, it's fairly common for the MOST system to fail due to a pinched or broken optical cable. So that's where I decided to start. Using VCDS, a Volkswagen-based diagnostic tool, I first loaded up to check any error codes. After running all the fault codes, one stood out, which was optical data bus showing open circuit. So from there I went and used the optical data bus diagnostic tool built into VCDS, and it allows me to trace the chain of optical signal from start to finish. Following the optical loop diagnostic, you can tell where the issue is coming from. Seeing how the radio showed errors in both electrical and optical, but the sound system is showing okay in electrical, this leads me to believe the radio is the cause of the issue. I ran both standard and 3 dB attenuated signals, and I got the result from both. Although there's no solution for this in the aftermarket, the customer is now well informed and can head to the dealer with some good knowledge behind him. This 22 Bronco Raptor came in and had very easy goals in mind. He said, I want something that's cool and I would have liked in high school. So with a blank canvas, we got set on deciding what components would best suit the vehicle. To ensure we didn't lose all the usable space in the back, we still had high levels of SPL and fidelity. We chose an Audio Mobile Encore 15. I got started building the enclosure by first positioning the Audio Mobile subwoofer as far back against the seat as possible. Doing this ensures the subwoofer enclosure doesn't stick out as unnecessarily, and we provide the proper airspace that we're looking for. The enclosure was wrapped in black vinyl with a contrasting gray suede, just like the seats. To tie the enclosure into the vehicle, we utilized some of the design cues that can be found inside the vehicle. The front fascia has Torx Plus bolts as well as horizontal scaling lines. This helps the enclosure feel like it's not out of place. For the front soundstage, we decided on doing a 3-way, as this will give us the highest fidelity without compromising any looks. To do a 3-way, you need to open up the factory grille, as it does not allow more than one 4-inch speaker. Again, using the Einscan HX, I scanned the factory grille to give me the contours I needed to recreate that. After recreating the base in Fusion 360, I started designing a laser cut insert that would act as the grille. This allows for fitting a 4-inch and a tweeter in the factory location. Personal and professional evolution for me this year has been learning to let go. Not thinking everything has to be done by me, which in turn has allowed me a lot more free time to kind of hone and work on my own skills. So I would say it's benefited me greatly. And as well as time management, I've really tried to work on my time management day to day and week to week. That way I can end projects on time and even a lot of times early. Past year, I attended Mark Eldridge's MSc, or Mobile Soundstage Engineering tuning class. I had a lot of fun, met a lot of cool people there, and as well as that, I obtained my expert certification with MACP. This upcoming year, I plan on really becoming proficient with CAM and even more proficient with CAD, and I strive to learn 3D machining on the CNC router. My role here at Sound Evolution is pretty complex. I would say the best way to describe it is the facilitator, or the overview. I greet the customer. If I don't greet them, I'll be introduced into the sale, and we discuss kind of what things need to happen. And then from there, I make sure everything's executed to what needs to be done. And then the delivery of the vehicle or the demo of the vehicle to the customer is handled by me as well. So start to finish, I'm involved, and I really enjoy that part about it. I get to kind of see it unfold and watch it grow as it goes along. I always try and stay active in the industry with 12 volt or otherwise, whether that be off-road, anything aftermarket really involving cars. I'm always active in the Facebook groups, Educar and similar. I plan on attending all the Knowledge Fest events and anything else that tends to come up. I believe I should win Installer of the Year this year, just because of the sheer fact that I've advanced so far in such a short amount of time. Even with this past self-reflection of the video, I shocked myself, and I couldn't believe that we got the printers and the scanners less than a year ago. And to that point, not only do I do 3D scanning and designing, I tune, I fabricate, I greet customers, I sell I sell sound systems, I facilitate jobs. I kind of do everything. So it would be a great honor for me to win this year.